In 2025, Coldplay isn't just a band. They're a global phenomenon, a stadium-conquering force of nature. Their Music of the Spheres World Tour has done something extraordinary, shattering attendance records by selling over 10 million tickets, more than any other tour in history. And while Taylor Swift's Eras Tour holds the title for the highest-grossing tour ever, Coldplay's run has also earned well over $1 billion, making them one of the most successful live acts on the planet. They've sold over 100 million albums, and by any measure, they are simply one of the biggest bands of the 21st century. But they weren't always titans of rock. Before the sold-out stadiums and the armfuls of Grammy Awards, they were just 4 university students crammed into a London dorm room. They cycled through some questionable band names, like Pectorals and Starfish, and chased a dream that felt 1,000,000 miles away. So how on earth did they get from there to here? How did 4 friends navigate the crushing pressures of fame, creative battles, and a music industry that's constantly changing to not only survive but thrive for nearly 3 decades? This is the story of how Coldplay evolved. The Coldplay story begins not in a flashy recording studio, but in the halls of University College London. The year was 1996, and during orientation week, a quiet but deeply ambitious Chris Martin met the gifted guitarist Johnny Buckland. They hit it off instantly, and that spark of musical chemistry had them writing their first songs together. Soon they roped in a fellow student, Guy Berryman, on bass, a steady, grounding presence who would become the anchor of the band's rhythm section. The final piece of the puzzle was Will Champion. The wild part? He had 0 drumming experience, but he took on the role with a level of determination that would define the band's work ethic, quickly becoming the powerful heartbeat of their sound. But there was another key person in these early days: Phil Harvey. A friend of Martin's, Harvey jumped in as their manager, sound guy, and all-around creative confidant. He's often called the 5th member of Coldplay, and for good reason. His guidance and his pure, unwavering belief in the band were what got them through those early, uncertain years. He wasn't just a manager. He was part of their foundation. After trying out names like Starfish, they finally landed on Coldplay. Their first official release, the Safety EP in 1998, was a self-funded project with only 500 copies ever made. Most were handed out to friends and record labels, a raw, honest calling card that was just enough to get them noticed. After signing with the indie label Fierce Panda for a one-off single, Brothers and Sisters, the buzz really started to build. Then, in 1999, it all paid off. They signed a major deal with Parlophone, the iconic label that was once home to the Beatles. The stage was set, but no one, not even the band themselves, could have imagined what was about to happen. The year 2000 was a musical turning point, and for Coldplay, it was the year everything changed. They released their debut album, Parachutes, into a world dominated by loud nu metal and shiny bubblegum pop. But somehow, its quiet, emotionally honest sound managed to connect. It was an album full of gentle introspection, built on acoustic guitars, soaring melodies, and Chris Martin's now famous falsetto. And then there was Yellow. The story goes that the title was a total fluke. Martin was struggling for a word to fit the melody and just happened to spot a Yellow Pages phone book in the studio. That simple, random observation led to a global phenomenon. The song, with its iconic video of Martin walking down a windswept English beach, became an instant classic. It wasn't just a hit. It was an anthem of devotion that launched them from indie darlings to international stars. Parachutes was a huge commercial success, but more than that, it felt personal. Songs like Trouble and Don't Panic were like diary entries set to music, capturing a kind of vulnerability that was missing from the charts. The album won them their first Brit Award for Best British Album and a Grammy for Best Alternative Music Album, proving the critics loved them too. With just one album, Coldplay hadn't just found their voice, they had won over the world. Section 3, The Rush of Success, From Theaters to Arenas, 2002-2004. If Parachutes was a gentle hello, their second album, 2002's A Rush of Blood to the Head, was a loud and clear declaration. This wasn't just a follow-up, it was a massive leap forward in sound, scale, and pure ambition. The band was hell-bent on proving they weren't a one-hit wonder, and they poured everything they had into making a record that was bigger, bolder, and more dynamic. The result was an atmospheric rock masterpiece. The album kicks off with Politique, a track with crashing drums and an urgent piano that immediately signals a shift to a more powerful sound. This was a band that was ready for arenas. The emotional depth was still there, but now it was supercharged with a whole new level of musical muscle. This era gave us some of Coldplay's most timeless songs. The Scientist, with its brilliant reverse motion music video, proved they were masters of storytelling. In My Place became the kind of stadium sing-along that could give you goosebumps. And then there was Clocks. Built around that unforgettable piano riff that Johnny Buckland almost threw away, the song was a hypnotic, unstoppable force. It became a colossal hit, winning the Grammy for Record of the Year and cementing its place as one of the most recognizable songs of the decade. A Rush of Blood to the Head was a critical and commercial monster. It won another Grammy for Best Alternative Music Album and sent the band on tour to the world's biggest stages. Their live shows became legendary, thanks in large part to Chris Martin's boundless, electrifying energy. He wasn't just performing the songs, he was living them every single night. The band had done it. They were officially global superstars. The question was no longer if they could make it, but where could they possibly go next? By 2005, there was no doubt Coldplay was one of the biggest bands in the world, but that kind of success comes with a crushing amount of pressure. Their third album, X and Y, was born out of a period of serious creative struggle. The band reportedly scrapped an entire album's worth of music before starting over, trying to find a new path in the shadow of their own success. You can hear that struggle in the music, which is both massive in scale and deeply personal. On X and Y, Coldplay started playing more with electronic sounds, weaving in synthesizers and more complex arrangements. You can hear the influence of bands like Kraftwerk and U2, especially on the lead single, Speed of Sound. It was a soaring, anthemic track that felt perfectly designed for the stadiums they were now selling out. But the heart of the album and its most lasting legacy came from a place of pure emotion. Fix You, a song Chris Martin wrote for his then-wife Gwyneth Paltrow, became one of the defining anthems of the 21st century. Starting with just a quiet organ and building to a powerful, cathartic explosion of sound, the song is like a musical shoulder to cry on. It's a beacon of hope in the dark, and it connected with millions. Even though X and Y was the best-selling album worldwide in 2005, it got mixed reviews from critics. Some felt the band was playing it safe, maybe leaning a little too hard into a formula, but for the fans, the album gave them exactly what they wanted. Huge, emotional songs about love, loss, and hope. The creative journey was tough, but Coldplay had made it through. They had cemented their place at the top, but the struggle sparked a need for a change. It was time to reinvent themselves. Section 5, The Revolution, New Colors and a Viva la Vida, 2008-2010. After the difficult and introspective process of making X and Y, Coldplay was ready for a revolution. For their fourth album, they brought in the legendary producer Brian Eno, a musical genius known for his groundbreaking work with U2. His influence changed everything. The band threw out their old playbook and embraced a totally new sound and a new look for 2008's Viva la Vida or Death and All His Friends. The title alone, which they took from a Frida Kahlo painting, told you this was something different. The lyrics shifted from personal stories to bigger themes of love, war, and revolution. The music was a vibrant mix of influences, with orchestral strings, booming timpani drums, and world music textures. The familiar piano ballads were gone, replaced by something far more experimental and grand. The album's title track, Viva la Vida, was a force of nature. With its sweeping strings, marching beat, and lyrics about fallen kings, it sounded like absolutely nothing else on the radio. The song became Coldplay's first ever #1 hit in both the UK and the US, an incredible achievement. It went on to win the Grammy for Song of the Year, a testament to its artistic power. The whole album felt like an art project. The band started dressing in custom revolutionary-style uniforms, and the album cover featured the famous painting, Liberty Leading the People. Songs like Lovers in Japan and Violet Hill crackled with a new artistic freedom. Viva la Vida was a huge creative gamble that paid off in a massive way. It completely redefined what a Coldplay album could be and silenced anyone who thought they were becoming predictable. They had proven they could not only rule the charts but also push art forward. This begged the question, what do you do after you've conquered the world? You create a new one. After the artistic victory of Viva la Vida, Coldplay could have gone anywhere. They chose to dive headfirst into pure pop with their 2011 album, Milo Ziloto. The album was conceived as a rock opera about a dystopian world where color and sound are banned, and the music itself was an explosion of fluorescent, synth-heavy optimism. They kept the experimental spirit from the Brian Eno sessions, but this time they funneled it into making some of the most radio-friendly music of their lives. And this created a divide. For many longtime fans who fell for the introspective rock of their early days, this new pop sound felt like a step too far. The sellout comments, something many evolving bands face, started popping up online. But the band was all in on their new direction, and it led to some of their biggest global hits. Paradise, with its epic build and explosive chorus, became an inescapable anthem, complete with a charming music video of the band wandering around in elephant costumes. And their collaboration with Rihanna, Princess of China, officially launched them into the pop stratosphere, blending their stadium rock with her signature style. The Milo Ziloto era was all about the live show. Concerts became a sensory overload of confetti, lasers, and interactive LED wristbands, the famous Xylo bands, that lit up in time with the music, turning entire stadiums into a synchronized sea of light. It was a shared communal party that brought the album's themes to life. While some early fans might have felt left behind, millions more were drawn in by the infectious, joyful energy. Coldplay had made a choice to embrace pop, and in doing so, they reached an even bigger global audience. If Milo Ziloto was a step into pop, 2015's A Head Full of Dreams was a full-on cannonball into an ocean of euphoric, life-affirming music. It came after the much quieter, more heartbreaking album Ghost Stories, which dealt with the end of Chris Martin's marriage, so this record was a very intentional and powerful return to joy. The album was loaded with big-name collaborations, pulling the band even deeper into the pop world. They worked with Beyoncé on the uplifting Hymn for the Weekend, and with Swedish pop star Tove Lo on Fun. The sound was bright, danceable, and completely optimistic. Songs like the lead single, Adventure of a Lifetime, with its instantly catchy guitar riff and disco groove, were built from the ground up to get massive crowds dancing. And that's exactly what happened. The A Head Full of Dreams tour was basically a global victory lap. The tour ran for over 2 years and was a true spectacle of color and joy, turning the visual ideas from the Milo Ziloto era up to 11. It became one of the highest-grossing tours of all time, playing for millions of people across 5 continents and solidifying their status as one of the greatest live bands on Earth. This era was less about pleasing critics and more about connecting directly with their fans. Sure, some reviews found the non-stop positivity a little cheesy, but the audience embraced it with open arms. The concerts were a space for collective joy, a place to escape and celebrate together. A Head Full of Dreams wasn't just an album title, it was a mission statement. Coldplay had fully stepped into their role as providers of stadium-sized hope. After conquering the world's stadiums, Coldplay entered a new chapter, one driven by bold experiments and a deep sense of social responsibility. Their 2019 double album, Everyday Life, was their most eclectic and politically aware record yet. Split into 2 halves, Sunrise and Sunset, the album jumped between genres like gospel, world music, and quiet acoustic songs, all while exploring themes of conflict, faith, and what it means to be human. Then, in 2021, they shot for the stars with their next big idea, Music of the Spheres. Produced by pop mastermind Max Martin, the album was a space-themed pop opera that gave us huge global hits like Higher Power and My Universe, a landmark collaboration with K-pop superstars BTS. That song made Coldplay the first British group ever to have a song debut at #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart. But the most groundbreaking part of this era has been the world tour. Before it even started, the band made a huge promise: to make the tour as sustainable as possible, with a goal of cutting their CO2 footprint by 50%. And they've delivered. They installed kinetic dance floors that generate power from fans dancing, put solar panels at every venue, and planted a tree for every single ticket sold. That's over 7 million trees. This tour has not only broken attendance records, but has also shown that massive global events can be done with the planet in mind. Most recently, in late 2024, they released their 10th album, Moon Music, which doubled down on this promise. The physical copies were the first in the world to be released as Eco Record LPs, with each one made from 9 recycled plastic bottles. The album shot straight to #1, proving their creative and commercial fire is still burning as bright as ever. From a university dorm to pioneering eco-friendly stadium tours, Coldplay's story has been all about evolution. They've changed their sound, their style, and their message, but the core of what makes them Coldplay has always stayed the same. So what's your favorite Coldplay era? The early acoustic days of Parachutes, the art rock revolution of Viva la Vida, or the pop spectacle of today? Let us know in the comments. And if you want more stories behind the world's biggest artists, make sure you subscribe and ring that notification bell. So, how did 4 friends from a London university become one of the biggest bands in the world? The answer is in their powerful and unique duality. On one hand, they have an incredible gift for writing soaring, emotional anthems that make you feel like they were written just for you. But on the other, they have this restless, fearless ambition to tear down what they just built and start all over again. They've been indie darlings, arena rockers, art rock revolutionaries, and pop superstars. They've faced creative blocks, critical backlash, and the insane pressure of fame, yet their friendship has held them together. Their journey is a powerful lesson in reinvention, loyalty, and the simple, universal language of a great song. Nearly 3 decades in, Coldplay isn't just surviving, they're still climbing, still exploring, and still bringing a head full of dreams to a world that can always use it.